This episode of the Sloopcast is brought to you by the Iron Bean Coffee Company. The Iron Bean Coffee Company is a premium, small batch, roast to order, veteran owned coffee company. Holidays are here, and be sure to get your special one some great coffee over at the Iron Bean Coffee Company, where they have high quality coffee beans directly imported from far off lands such as Indonesia, Brazil, Honduras, Colombia, and much, much more. Come in K cups as well, gift cards available, and free shipping over $50. So be sure to hit up ironbeancoffee.com to check out all of the products that they have to offer. Iron Bean Coffee Company, America's local coffee roaster.
What's up, YouTube? What's up, Discord? Kyle, what'd I tell you? Check the live chat. What'd I tell you? Buckeye Zach, not happy.
Yeah.
His boy just entered the transfer portal, and no, I'm not talking about either of the people who you think I might be talking about. Hey, Stuart. Be nice, Stuart.
All right, Jared, let's hop right into it.
We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing all right, all things considered, Jared. How are you doing?
I'll steal your answer.
It was definitely a rough week for Buckeye fans. Definitely a rough week, and didn't really seem to get much better. Yeah, we had the one shining light that was last week, and that was Ohio State beating Duke, number one Duke in basketball. So, just rule of thumb: no number one team should be playing Ohio State because more often than not they're going to lose.
All right, let's put that on a t-shirt, I guess. Before we get too deep into things, Kyle and I have a small piece of news, maybe a big piece of news. Not official until January 1st, but we're going to be leaving the Buckeye Scoop. We just wanted to go independent, just sort of. There's no big news item here. Like, still cool with Tony, still cool with Tom, still cool with everyone who you've seen on this show, who we've had guest starred on the show. It's not anything personal to the people over there who we like. And we're leaving on good terms as far as I'm concerned, and as far as everyone I've talked to is concerned. So, if you watched this on the Buckeye Scoop, if that's where you're watching this, like on the Buckeye Scoop YouTube channel, at the end of the show, there will be a title card, end card to follow us. If you want to keep watching us, we already have our own YouTube channel where we've been posting. We don't get too many views over there because everyone watches us on the Buckeye Scoop YouTube channel. So you might want to jump over there if you want to continue watching us, or if you don't want to continue watching us, that's fine too. I'm not the boss of you. You can do whatever you want. And that's it. That's all I have to say about that. Kyle, man, we have a lot to get to today. Where do you want to go?
Well, let's start with the bad news here. Bad news. I guess could
Which bad news?
Bad news. we got two Buckeyes. Well, three if you're counting Zach's favorite quarterback as well. Craig Young and Quinn Ewers are officially entered the transfer portal. Definitely, a lot of people were really confused about the whole Quinn Ewers joining early and then transferring out. I won't go too deep into that, and everybody has their opinions about it, but best of luck to him wherever he goes.
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on it, but I'm going to keep them to myself for now. Everyone's got to do what's best for them. I'll say this: someone who knows what they are talking about told me that when Quinn Ewers reclassified, his chances of ever playing meaningful snaps for Ohio State dwindled. CJ Stroud had an amazing year. We don't know what's happening with the Heisman stuff yet. I don't expect CJ Stroud to win the Heisman, but I think there's a real decent chance he gets an invite to New York. And no matter what anyone was trying to tell you, there was not going to be a quarterback battle for this offseason. The quarterback job belongs to CJ Stroud. And Quinn Ewers sees himself as a 3-and-done guy, and he doesn't want to only play 1 year, so he's going to go find an opportunity elsewhere, and more power to him. Had he stayed in the class of 2022, then he could have sat for 1 year, potentially played for 2, depending upon if CJ Stroud leaves early, depending upon if he could have beaten out Kyle McCord, depending upon. Ultimately, he has to do what's best for him. But the second he reclassified, I think the writing was on the wall. I had people saying, "Well, what if this happens and what if that happened?" I'm like, and people are always saying, "Well, McCord's definitely going to transfer." And I'm like, if Quinn Ewers might transfer first, you know what I mean? Like I've kind of from the second the reclassification happened, I think writing was on the wall that this was not a certainty, but more likely than not.
Yep. And the other, Craig Young, too. Here's a guy, 3 years at Ohio State, hasn't really made a huge impact. Might have next year, but I think this one hurt more than the Quinn Ewers transferring, because you had another linebacker who was able to get meaningful snaps, not starting, but meaningful snaps. Get in there, get some legs fresh on the field there. So I'm a little surprised about Craig Young, especially I think he started seeing the ball more or seeing the field more a little bit towards the end of the year. But you got to do what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah, and he's an Ohio kid, so that stinks. And I don't know. I don't know how often you see a guy go to the transfer portal and then not. What I don't want for Craig Young is for Craig Young to leave, for Ohio State to make defensive coaching changes that could have benefited him, and then him not being able to benefit from those changes because he was gone. I do think a lot of changes are coming to the defensive coaching staff. Those aren't going to happen soon, but I fully believe that they will happen. I think in many ways, Ryan Day is going to wait for the defensive coaching carousel to turn a few times, see who comes available, especially from the NFL side. I think that's where he probably has his eye for maybe the next defensive coordinator, and maybe a few other positions. But it is what it is. I once again, I have nothing but the best of hope for Craig Young. I hope this works out for him. I'm incredibly happy for Jamison Williams. I was incredibly happy for Joe Burrow. I'm happy for once a Buckeye, always a Buckeye. I will stand by that. And it was one of the reasons why I'm 100% adopting Cincinnati for this playoff run, because Luke Fickell is once a Buckeye, always a Buckeye in my mind. So,
yep. In the early thoughts about Quinn Ewers, going back to Quinn Ewers here, looking like the best place he's going to right now, probably either Texas or Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, I don't know. I feel like I'd rather start 1 year at Ohio State than start 2 years at Texas Tech. And before anyone says Patrick Mahomes to me, I know, but exception versus rule, right? Like, who's your Buckeye says Oklahoma? Well, I mean, maybe if
you mean
things
USC
hadn't, yeah, exactly.
All right.
By the way, I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, but highly touted USC. I believe he was a freshman this year. Being candid about potentially looking at the transfer portal. Just saying Ohio State might be looking to fill some depth, looking for potential guys. It's a guy who's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback.
Right.
Quarterback, Stuart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think we mentioned it the previous episode, Jared. Ohio State did get a commit. Did we mention that in the previous episode?
Yeah, the guy they flipped from USC. We absolutely mentioned that on the last episode.
All right, never mind. All right, we're going to go ahead and move forward now. All right, the regular season is done, Jared. The regular season's done. The final rankings are out, and Ohio State finished 6th in the final playoff rankings.
Which
I think that's about right. I think that's where they should be. They're actually the best 2-loss team ranked right now, and they're just behind Notre Dame, and then Cincinnati would be facing Alabama in one of the semis, and the other semis is Georgia and Michigan. While Ohio State will be going on over to Pasadena to take on the Utes of Utah. Your thoughts on that, Jared?
I think Ohio State plays well. I mean, I'm not worried about Utah per se. I maybe try and get some of that honor back from the Pac-12. Utah's a good team, but I don't see them as being in the same league as Ohio State.
Yeah, early favorites have Ohio State opening up at 7.5 points.
Right. Which for what it's worth was what Ohio State was favored over Michigan. So
yeah.
just throwing that out there. Quick coaching stuff. Venables, defensive coordinator from Clemson, rumored to be heading to Oklahoma, and the Mario Cristobal coach from Oregon, rumored to be heading to Miami. These are all rumors. The Cristobal to Miami appears to be in the early rumor stage. Like that one's even less further along. The Venables ones feels like it's a thing that's going to happen. That's a tough blow for Clemson. That's a very tough blow for Clemson. And we'll see how it goes for Oklahoma. He's a great defensive coordinator. Does that translate to being a great coach? We'll see.
Yep. All right. So conference championship games here. So we mentioned Ohio State and Utah playing the Rose Bowl. So let's start with that. Utah for the second time this year, just dominating Oregon here. They won 38-10 here, and it was just not even close. I think it was over 20. It was like 23-0 at halftime.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Oregon was never in this game. Flat. And maybe the Cristobal rumors, maybe the back room dealings of him potentially talking to Miami. But then again, Utah killed them, as Kyle pointed out, once already this season. Without that, when Oregon still had stuff to play for, Oregon still potentially a playoff team when Utah, crushed them.
Mm-hmm.
So the excuse, any excuses about Cristobal being distracted or whatever doesn't really hold water then. But Oregon seemed completely disinterested in playing in this game for what it's. They didn't want to be there.
Yeah. Speaking of someone who didn't want to be there, Iowa. Iowa looked like a team that they deserved to be there. Just completely dominated all game here. 42-3 is the final score. It was a little bit closer, but Michigan just kept on marching down. Scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, but Iowa wasn't scoring points. There was no way Iowa was going to get in here. They had to keep Michigan under 20 points to win this game. Even then, they only scored 3 points.
Yeah, and Michigan definitely threw some points on at the end there. Going into the fourth quarter, it was 21-3, which was it was still over at that point because Iowa is without a bunch of turnovers, without a bunch of gifts from Michigan. Iowa wasn't about to launch a 21 point or I guess a 17-point rally at the end of the game to come back and win it. They just weren't. That's not who Iowa is. But
Yep.
but Michigan didn't even give them the opportunity by scoring 21 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
We did a social screen for this game, Kyle, and we turned it off. That's
we did.
we were drinking bourbon and turned it off. That's how that social screen went.
All right. Other games here. Cincinnati taking care of business over Houston, 35-20. It was a very entertaining game. Halftime was 14-13. Houston was right in it, but then Cincinnati they always seem to have this one quarter where they just take it away, and that was in the third quarter, scoring 21 unanswered points, never looked back, winning 35-20, and now are the first team from a non-Power 5 group making it to the playoffs, and rightfully so.
Right. Stewart and Hoosier, we have an Ask Sloopcast for what you were talking about, so we will get there. Cincinnati, I think much like the Trestle ball that they are in lineage from. I'm not sure what prepositional phrase to use there, but the where from the Jim Tressel bloodline. How about that? From the Jim Tressel bloodline, not fast starters typically. They sort of let the team hang around for a while, and then like Kyle said, end up pulling away and making it, ending it at some point in the game, but typically not a team that's going to have things wrapped up by the end of the first half.
Yep.
But as far as, Cincinnati, as Kyle said, makes the historic move of being the first group of 5 team to make the playoffs. They will face Alabama, which is no small feat.
Yep.
I would have much rather they got to be third place and got to play Michigan. That would have been pretty fun for me personally. I would have enjoyed that game.
Honestly, that's what it really should have been. Georgia lost by 17 points.
Yeah.
In their conference championship game, and then you had Cincinnati. You had Cincinnati, who was undefeated and took care of the business, beat Notre Dame at their place,
which is better than any win Georgia has.
Better than any win Georgia has. This is all because the playoff committee doesn't want Alabama, Georgia in the semifinals. That's all this was. I don't understand why you couldn't put Cincinnati ahead of Georgia.
Well, they'll say that the overall strength of schedule and yada yada yada, but the SEC East was garbage this year because who was I feel like we ask this every episode. Who was Georgia's best win?
It is Clemson.
No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. No, Clemson, especially Clemson in September, couldn't score on you, me, and a couple crickets we pulled out of the yard. They couldn't have scored on us.
I know.
So outside of that, who's their best win? Kentucky? Are you seriously going to tell me it's Kentucky? Because Kyle, it's Kentucky. I broke my microphone stand, Kyle.
Yeah, it's dumb. I don't want to spend too much time, but yeah, it should have been Alabama and Georgia. They should have played each other again for the semifinals, and then Michigan and Cincinnati for the other semis too. That's how it should have been. But
the committee swears
everybody else knew that's not what was going to happen. Because the committee wouldn't have repeat conference championship games in the first semifinal game.
And they swear up and down that they don't consider that. I don't believe them. You don't believe them, Kyle. You, the listeners, I'm sure. How many of you actually believe them?
Play
I
that.
don't know, but
I don't believe you. GIF for me, Jared.
yeah, I don't believe them.
Yeah. All right, and
Why
then
you
the
all,
other conference.
Kyle? If we're talking gifts here, it's why you always lying.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah.
All right, and the final two here. Baylor upsets Oklahoma State for their chance to possibly get into the playoffs here, 21-16. Now, Jared, what if Oklahoma State won that game?
Yeah. Could they have passed Cincinnati?
Man.
I think it's a good question, and for the sake of Luke Fickell, I'm glad we don't know. I don't know. I know what I would have done. I know what I would have done. I would have put Cincinnati in.
I would have put Cincinnati in as well as Oklahoma State.
Well, now you're dreaming.
All right, and then the other game that no one really cared about, Pittsburgh beating Wake Forest 45-21.
For the record, Kyle, I would have still put Georgia at 4.
Okay.
It's Oklahoma. I don't know. Maybe not. Oklahoma State still would have been a 1-loss team.
You got conference championship. They always value conference championships over other teams.
Well, Ohio State still got placed higher than Baylor. So,
yeah, there's that too. All right, I think this is a good time for an ad break, Jared. So, tell us a little bit about some of the great coffee products that you can get over at the Iron Bean Coffee Company.
Sure thing. Let's talk about some of the non-flavored coffees. Let's talk about some standard coffees over at the Iron Bean Coffee Company. There is the Fierce, which is a dark roast coffee made with 100% Arabica beans. The Rage Against the Dying of the Light has notes of cherry, milk chocolate, orange, and a slight hint of rose petal. The Ride or Die is a medium roast coffee, a gentle, distinctive version of the classic American breakfast cup, made from Brazilian yellow bourbon coffee beans. The Cast Iron, which is a medium roast coffee made with 100% single origin Honduran Arabica beans. The Odin, which is a coffee that will keep you fighting long after you should have gone to Valhalla. There's the Rocco. The Rocco available in both medium and dark. It is an Ethiopian natural. The Thor, which is somewhere in between a medium and a dark roast. It's somewhere in between those two. The Loki, which is a medium light roast. It's a little darker than a medium, or a little darker than a light roast, a little lighter than a medium roast. It's a fun little tweener. Kyle, I really didn't think I liked light roast coffees until I had the Loki. And by the way, you're thinking, oh well, it's a light roast. It doesn't have much caffeine. You're wrong. There's plenty of caffeine. Don't you worry about that. The drink from the skull of your enemy. It's a traditional Indonesian coffee. It's edgy, smoky. It has notes of cedar and sweet tobacco, wine, and spice. The Fear No Evil. You think to yourself, oh, well, I like a dark roast coffee. You ever had a black roast coffee? This is black beyond black. This is dark beyond dark. This is a black roast coffee. It doesn't get any darker. It's a black roast coffee. The Fear No Evil is what I just talked about already. The Integrity, which is the flagship coffee of the Iron Bean Coffee Company, makes a great espresso, and like I said, is the flagship roast. Kyle, I just threw a bunch of coffee at everyone. Holidays are coming. Buy your favorite coffee drinker their new favorite coffee over at ironbeancoffee.com. That is Iron Bean Coffee, America's local coffee roaster. Breathe out. Okay. Whew. Kyle, I feel like I did that. I didn't do that in one breath, but I really went for that one. All right, Kyle, what's next? We have Pittsburgh Wake Forest. This one didn't really play into the playoff picture too much, or at all, actually. But Pittsburgh let Wake Forest hang around for a while, but then eventually pulls away. Kyle, I'm letting you know right now, and this is an unpopular opinion, potentially. Kenny Pickett's my Heisman.
Won't get it.
No, because he doesn't play for a playoff team, which is absurd. Why is that a criteria?
Maybe once every 20 years.
Yeah. When was the last time that and by the way, we're talking about an 11-2 team This team is not bad, but when was the last time that a team that wasn't at least in the national championship picture, won the Heisman? Yeah, Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson was just clearly the best player in college football that year. He just clearly was.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jared, let's look at some just early bowl previews here.
All right. I don't know how early it is, but
let's see. The first game here is in.
Kyle, do we do our give a fuck rankings? Do we save that for a future?
We can do that next Sunday. We'll do that next Sunday or Wednesday.
We'll do that.
So the first bowl games are on the 17th, which is the following Friday here. So maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that next week.
But real quick, Stuart asks a really good question. What does moving to the Big 12 do for Cincinnati since they've now made the playoffs? I don't know. I honestly like that move doesn't come for another 3 years.
Strength of schedule.
Maybe Kyle. That doesn't happen for another 3 years. How confident are you that the Big 12 is still a conference in 5 years? I mean, let's make it 5 years. That the Big 12 is even still a thing in 5 years. I'm not super confident.
Mm-hmm.
Or that we're still even considering them a Power 5 at that point. Are we just talking about a Power 4 between now and 5 years from now? I think it's entirely possible. Was Georgia's schedule strong? Yes, in that the average that they played is still better than the average team that Cincinnati played. If Cincinnati had the best win between those two teams, but still, even bad SEC East teams are better than your average American Conference team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, Jared.
So just the week-to-week strength was stronger for Georgia.
It is, yeah. Some of these bowl games, Jared. Any ones that stick out to you that you'd be interested in watching here?
Scrolling down through, Army West Point versus the Missouri Tigers. That might be worth watching. Here's one that I do find interesting. Outside of Cincinnati, Kyle, two of the teams from the group of 5 that we are paying maybe the closest attention to was San Diego State and the University of Texas San Antonio. They will be playing each other in the Frisco Bowl. That's potentially an interesting game.
How about that Gasparilla Bowl, where you got 2 Florida teams going at it?
Yeah, it would have been fun if UCF was still the UCF that they were a few years ago. Then they would have slaughtered Florida, but hell, they still might win. Yeah. In all honesty, they still might win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so some more interesting games. I'm just looking down through here. I think Minnesota has a favorable matchup against West Virginia in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl.
The Guaranteed Rate Bowl. God, that's terrible.
Holiday Bowl should be interesting. You had high expectations from UCLA early on, and then you have NC State, who has had a solid year. They finished 9-3. Beat Clemson this year and some other victories as well too. I think this could be a close game there too. Houston and Auburn should be interesting. Houston had a very solid year. I think they could be a very dangerous team that could upset Auburn here.
They're about to put what I said to the test. I literally just said a bad SEC team is still better than your average AAC team. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see here. Another Big Ten team, the Pinstripe Bowl, Maryland and Virginia Tech. So another former ACC matchup there.
Oh, this is sad. This is sad, Kyle. Oregon versus Oklahoma. So you just lost your head coach bowl.
Yep.
That's
yes.
sad. That's real sad. Peach Bowl is interesting. Pittsburgh, Michigan State.
We did better than expected bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that the Overachievers Bowl. The Peach Bowl brought to you by overachievers.com, which may or may not be a website. Please don't go to it. I have no idea what you're going to find there.
The Las Vegas Bowl seems like a Rose Bowl Junior bowl game where you got a Big Ten and a Pac-12 team going at it. That's Wisconsin and Arizona State.
Stewart says the Growers Not Showers Bowl. All right. You know what I'm not seeing a ton of? I'm not seeing there was a point in time in which you scroll down, you start to get some more. I was wondering where like all of the Big Ten versus SEC games were. But if you scroll down a little bit further, the Music City Bowl has Purdue against Tennessee.
Boilermakers.
Yeah. You of course have Georgia versus Michigan. That goes without saying. You get Iowa versus Kentucky, which you get together with your family, have a New Year's Eve, like big breakfast, or excuse me, like lunch dinner, like you eat early, then you throw this game on, you fall asleep. Maybe you spent all night out on Christmas Eve. You need a mid-afternoon nap, throw Iowa versus Kentucky on.
First one to 20 wins.
Oh, if Iowa wants to win, sure. You have Penn State versus Arkansas, a team that shouldn't be ranked but somehow is, versus a team that could have been ranked but somehow isn't. And yeah, it's I don't know, Kyle.
Notre Dame and Oklahoma State will be interesting now that Freeman's taking helm at Notre Dame here. This will be his first head coach game here. I think that'll be interesting, as the following game that Notre Dame will be playing is against Ohio State. So
yes, sir.
Definitely keep a close eye on that one for Buckeye fans. And I think that's it, outside of Ohio State playing Utah again at Rose Bowl, 5 p.m. Talked about Cincinnati, Bama, and the Cotton Bowl. I think those are really all the interesting ones. Other high-ranked teams here: Baylor playing Ole Miss.
Kyle, let's get to our Ask Sloopcast questions.
Sure.
All right.
First up here, we have from Dinger. Is it time to drop the early signing date for football recruitment, considering the damage being done in an effort to get a team's new coach
Kyle,
seated before losing a class?
I think we answered this one on our previous episode.
We did. I apologize for that.
Let's see. I think Kabuto might be the first one where
yes, that is.
We're poised to answer.
That is. Yep.
Kabuto's question is, of course, I just said that, then I lost it. Oh, here. Because you deleted it and moved it, you bastard. Quit editing the notes. Since Colorado State fired Steve Adizio, I know I mispronounced that. Get over it. Do you think Ohio State loses Tony Alford this offseason? I think it's certainly possible. I think that would be a great opportunity for Tony Alford, and I would be very happy for him. I mean, to go from a running back coach to a head coach position at a place like Colorado State, which is, a pretty respectable a group of 5 team. I think that'd be a great move for him, and I'd be very happy for him. And Ohio State's done a really good job developing running backs over the years, so he would be missed for sure. But
yeah, no, absolutely he would.
But I'd be happy for him.
Mm-hmm. Right. Stewart asks us, should the Big Ten remove the East versus West and have the 2 highest ranked teams play in the championship game? Absolutely. We're all in favor of just removing divisions and just keep it one conference, no split divisions. You get to you mix up the teams every year. Maybe you keep 2, maybe 3 max teams that you play every year for rivalries or whatever reason, but you mix them up every year. Get rid of divisions. The East is 8-0 since West and East have been created. Yeah. And it's obvious that the East is just so much just like with the SEC. The one side is just overly better than the other side.
Absolutely. And the pod system's been discussed before. Essentially, each team gets 3 protected games. You play 9 conference games like they're doing now. They're playing 9 conference games now. You get 3 protected teams, and you have a 6-team rotation for the other spots. I do not want to play Rutgers and Maryland every year. I don't want to do it. It does not interest me. Nor does playing Indiana every year interest me. Let's play Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State every year. Or I just, that was off the top of my head because those are already the divisional foes. If you want to drop Michigan State and add, I don't know, Wisconsin, Nebraska, whoever you want to add there, we can talk about that. A lot of it might come down to availability for, who does Nebraska consider their 3 teams and who does Michigan State consider their 3 teams. And it is what it is. I don't want to be in the position of playing Rutgers and Maryland every single year. Let's mix it up a bit. And there's no need for divisions. I don't know why it's like this understood thing that you need to have divisions. And I get maybe why you do it for the non-profit sports because it makes traveling easier. I get that, but we don't have to do that on the football side. It's not necessary.
Yep. All right. A few more questions here. Actually, the rest of them here from Buckeye Zach. How poorly? Starting this off great. How poorly do you think Ohio State plays against Utah in the Rose Bowl? Will this game's aftermath finally be the key today, shaving the beard as well as making the coaching changes he needs?
The coaching changes are coming. Like, don't get confused about that. Ohio State could beat Utah 45-0. There's still defensive changes coming.
Yeah.
Defensive coaching staff changes
blame the beard
are
as
coming.
a bad omen?
No. Why? The beard is
the beard
beautiful.
Looks good on him. The beard looks good on him.
Yeah. Why do y'all want Ryan Day to change everything about himself when he has lost one Big Ten game? I know that one Big Ten game was against Michigan, and I know that was the last game they played, which makes it seem a lot worse than it is, but he seriously lost one Big Ten game in 3 seasons as the Ohio State head coach.
Mm-hmm. Zach also asks, how do we coup Gary Patterson into coming to Columbus? Or Kevin Steele?
A big fat GoFundMe campaign led by the billionaires of Columbus.
Yeah. How badly will Michigan's showing in the CFP be when they lose to Georgia? Will it be respectable or will they get demolished like Sparty did in 15?
I think Michigan matches up well against Georgia.
Yeah, I think so too. Michigan's defense is good enough to keep Georgia's offense at bay.
Yeah,
and I think Michigan has enough playmakers to be able to move the ball effectively. Not as well as they did against Iowa, but effectively to make it a close game. I think it can be close. I think I saw Georgia's a 6.5 or 7.5 point favorite.
Yeah, I do think Georgia. I don't know. Well, what I think Michigan needs to work on during, you get a month of bowl prep here. What I'd be working on if I was Michigan is trying to get some more tempo, because that's one of the things that really aided if you watched the SEC championship game. One of the things that Bama did to neutralize the defensive front for Georgia was to run tempo. And, a lot of those big defensive linemen that Georgia has, they got gassed. So I think that's something Michigan needs to work on, is if they want to win this game, adding some more tempo to their offense.
Yep.
Now,
yep.
he's a big dude. He's a big dude, Stuart.
Yeah. All right. Will Michigan be able to recover from all their turnovers from this year? Is Harbaugh more of a 4-year development coach? And what brand of hot dogs does he feed his players?
I don't know what any of this means, except for the hot dogs, and I'm sure it's just whatever's on sale that week.
I think recover from all their turnover from this year. So they got a lot of seniors, a lot of upperclassmen that they're going to lose. I think they'll be fine. Obviously, this was their year to do it, to make a splash. But I mean, they got some good players. I mean, I really like their running backs. I really like their wide receivers. They just got to get an effective quarterback like they did this year, to a degree.
I like their backup. The backup's young. I like him more than I like McNamara.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they'll definitely be good again next year. Will they be as great as they were this year? We'll see. But I think they'll be a really good team next year.
Yes, McCarthy.
Yeah. Over under. Again, this is Zach asking us over under interceptions thrown by Michigan's quarterback in the Orange Bowl, 2.5 interceptions.
Under.
Yeah, under.
I don't. Michigan's going to do their damnedest not to throw the ball too often.
Yeah. And then the last question from Zach. He wants to know the Buckeyes' defensive line pressures, hurries, and sacks in the Rose Bowl. And he sets it at 0.5. Will they get one hurry, pressure, or sack?
Of course.
Yes.
Why, Buckeye Zach, I got to ask you this question. Why do you think so highly of Utah? I feel like there's a lot of negativity coming from you. Why do you think so highly of Utah?
Yep. All right, and then last question we saved for Stuart here, since he put it in as we were just recording here.
No, vetoing it.
Vetoing it.
Vetoing it.
Stuart, he doesn't want me to ask the question.
I'm tired of Stuart becoming Jim Harbaugh's mouthpiece on this show. That's right. I said it.
All right, that's it, Jared. That's all we have here. We're going to wrap this up as we are recording this Sunday night. The basketball team is about to play here in 10 minutes, so let's go ahead and wrap up the show, Jared.
Yep, let's go ahead and do that. I'd like to encourage everyone to join our Discord server. We'll be talking recruiting and doing all sorts of fun stuff during the entire off season. We are doing social screens. We're going to social screen. We social screened the Big Ten championship game last night. We're going to social screen. By the way, if you don't know what I mean by social screen, we're all just going to watch the game together. That's it. We're going to do a bit of a media share, and we're going to watch the game together. Everyone in the Discord can watch along. The paying Patreon members can talk along. They have voice privileges, but everyone can watch along. So you can come join us, discord.thesloopcast.com. And if you want to help the show financially, we lost a sponsor recently. We could use any sort of the help that anyone could help us out here by coming over to patreon.thesloopcast.com. Again, like we're leaving the Buckeye Scoop. We lost a sponsor. So anything you can do to sort of help us out financially, we would appreciate. So Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Well, Stuart wants me to ask a question.
Why would you do that for Jim Harbaugh?
Now, I'll actually talk about a different football team, and that is the Ohio State Club football team, winning back-to-back national titles um, just a few days ago, beating George Mason 42-27. That's right, back-to-back national titles for the Ohio State Club football team.
We kind of lost you there for a second, Kyle. What'd you say after that's right? You broke up for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, I said that Ohio State won their club football team won back-to-back national titles over George Mason 42-27.
Awesome.
And I think that is it here. I'm just looking to see if there's any last minute news, and no, that's it. Let's go ahead and end it off here.
All right. Let's see. Kyle, I forgot to line up a band, so we're gonna do a quick roulette here. We're gonna do a roulette. Let's go with looking. The band Heart Attack Man. That's they are a band, I believe, from the Akron area. Is that correct? Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland. All right, they're from the Cleveland area. Once again, they're called Heart Attack Man. So stick around where you can hear that song if you're listening to the audio version of this. If you are listening to the YouTube version or watching the YouTube version of this, there'll be a link down in the show notes where you can go listen to the song, because we can't play music because YouTube. That's how YouTube is. So go ahead and check that out. And with all that being said, Kyle, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is Heart Attack Man.